fistful of lead, but the battles are bigger. Look at all these miniatures we've got. It's only 5 units. We've got a unit of heavy cavalry. Basically, I've got British and I've got French. We are going full Napoleonics today, baby. I've got 5 units for each, a leader, 2 units of infantry, a cannon, and a cavalry for that horse, foot, and guns majesty. Let's zoom in close, take a look at these guys' capabilities, see how they differ from the Brits, and then we'll go see the elephant, as they say. Oh, I think, wasn't that more of a Civil War term? Say hello to my little French. Our commander is encouraging. He's got 2 units of line infantry. They are steady. They ignore shock when they are shooting. We've got a light field gun with 3. Oh, I've got 4 here, but they really only have 3 crew. I'm just doing 4 because it looks better. They have Deadeye, +1 to shoot. They are eagle-eyed, so they have a little longer range. And then the standard. So in my last battle, I kind of messed things up a little bit. It'll quiet things down. I just gave everybody all kinds of abilities. This time around, I went with the by the book. How many abilities are you supposed to have? You get 1 unit with 3 abilities, 1 unit with 2, and then everybody else gets 1 ability. So what I did is I gave my cannon the 2 abilities, Deadeye and Eagle Eye. Then I gave my heavy cavalry Brawler, Thunder Charge, and Determined. Ignore shock and melee, +1 to melee when charging, reroll missed melee attacks 1 time per turn. So if they do an attack, they can reroll, and then if they get attacked, they don't get to reroll anymore. So here's our triple boys, our double boys, and then these guys just have the 1. Our leader is encouraging, and he is solid. He's only forced to run away on a regroup, and he takes a full turn. He can automatically remove shock from a unit within 6 inches. That is our French. A little bit different on the side of the British. Note that we've got 6 heavy cavalry. Everybody's regulars in this case as well. For our British force, we'll start with the light cavalry in the back. Notice how there's 8 of them. Our light cavalry are agile and slippery. That's it. So I basically gave them I bumped them up with a couple of extra figures just to counteract the effect. I think those heavy cavalry, man, I know there's 6 versus 8 of these guys. I think it's a little more balanced. Agile means when they're shot at, they can make a free move to cover. They're also slippery. When they're charged, if they pass a 5-up task, then they can take a shot at half strength and make a full move action. So that's pretty much what it says on the tin, right? They're pretty slippery. We've got a light cannon for our British soldiers as well in the stovepipes. Now, they only have 1 special ability. That is that they have loads of ammo, so they ignore their first low on ammo result. The reason these guys artillery only have 1 ability is because I've got a unit of line infantry over here with 12 musket fellas. They have Deadeye. They're +1 to shoot. But over here, I've got a unit of regular light infantry with rifled muskets. A little bit of range. They are rangers, so they ignore terrain, and they are skirmishers, so they can move and shoot in the same turn with no penalty. These guys, if they move and shoot, they're going to be shooting at -1. Then our leader for the British commander, exactly the same as the French. He is encouraging, mounted, and solid. Let's talk about the scenario rules and why I think these rangers are going to punch way above their weight. There are 3 objectives. The top of the hill, which, now that I've shown you the figures, I'm going to scooch right up to the edge of the board. The bridge and this field. Now, in the rule book, which is where this scenario comes from, take and hold, this is listed as ruins. It's fine. Whoever controls 2 out of the 3 at the end of the game is going to win. Side 1 enters anywhere within 6 inches of this point. Side B enters anywhere within 6 inches of this road. We're going to roll off. Blue die for the guys in blue, red die for the red coats. The guys in red coats are going to be side 1. The British are going to be coming in up here, and the French down here. At the end of each turn, a side gains a victory point for each objective they control. To control an objective, a unit has to be on the objective with no enemy units within a single move distance. At the end of turn 8, roll a 10-sided die. Add the result to the last turn number played if the total is 15 or more. So basically, on turn 8, you roll a d10. On a 7-up, the game is over. The next turn, it'll be on a 6-up, and then a 5-up, and then a 4-up, and so on. I did go ahead and reduce it to 3 crew per cannon. Cannons will fire 3 shots on the attack. They begin limbered up. When limbered, they can move a total of 3 inches per turn. After you limber them up, It's only an inch and a half per action, I guess I should say. What else can I tell you? The scenario calls for deployment within 3 inches of the spawn point on either side of the road. I don't have enough room to get all my boys in there, so as you can see, the French have decided to leave one line infantry off. They'll come on the second turn. The British over here have opted to leave their light cavalry off the board. The light cavalry being faster, they're going to race to get where they are. Once again, I also removed the bridge because I don't want there to be any confusion about whether the bridge acts as cover or not. This is now a ford. It's the only place you can cross this stream without penalty. Everywhere else, the stream counts as rough going, and as the stream is 1 inch across, it's going to cost you 2 inches across. Now, bear in mind, I am using 15 millimeter figures. I am using half scale for everything. All of our regular foot are going to be moving at 2.5 inches per turn. The horses will all move at 4 inches per turn. And again, because I'm playing solo, I'm going to deal out the cards, and I'm nominating each unit. This is for the cannon, this is for the leader, and then we just kind of see how the turn develops. This is for the leader, this is for the cannon, and there's for the cavalry. A lot of low numbers here. It looks like our skirmishers for the British are going to get the first move, and I think for this first move, it's pretty obvious. There's nobody's going to be in close combat. It's just going to be a bunch of moving. Let me go ahead and move all my boys, measure it out, and then we'll play turn number 2. The French are opting to focus their attention on these 2 points. The British, on the other hand, are going to go after all 3. They can bring their skirmishers up to here. They're going to be doing great. They can race across real quick after a brief firefight. The cannon is facing both of these. Here, the cannon is going to spend the entire turn unlimbering. Now, the woods do block line of fire from cannon to cannon, so perhaps this cannon can rotate, block the ford, but it looks like our cavalry are going to be able to race across the ford. If that's what they're going for, they may sweep around this way to force this cannon to turn. I'm not sure yet. Kind of depends on the cards, right? Now, I'm going to start by throwing the first card down behind the Brits. That's the reinforcements coming on a 6, and then straight across the board. Likewise, our reinforcements here are going to come on the jack, and it's going to be a little bit crowded because this 7 is for the leader, and then it's going to be 2, roll 2 dice, take the ladder, if that becomes an issue. The hill is rough going, so these guys are going to be moving at half speed. They move 2.5 inches. This is 2.5 inches to here. In order to get up on the hill, they're going to have to make a double move this time. But it's not their turn to move at all. It's the reinforcements' turn. And those reinforcements can come on and move a grand total, if they're moving on the double, of 5 inches. So why don't we bring them over to here? And we'll kind of take shelter behind... Well, do we take shelter behind the woods? Or do we just bring them up? Let's just bring them up. No sense playing coy with these guys, right? So there we go. There's the first move on the part of the French. And then the next highest card is going to be the leader for the British. He is going to, hold his action. There's nothing for him to do right now. He's going to hold tight right there. Then we have a 7 of hearts and a 7 of clubs. Hearts goes before clubs. That means this leader, likewise, he's just going to hang tight, stay about 6 inches back. If we measure up to here, maybe we'll scooch him over just a bit so he's just within command radius of all of his boys. Then we have the 7 of clubs over here. Moving 5 inches is going to bring this unit up into the woods. So we brought the British cavalry onto the board. The skirmishers do not have a shot yet. They don't have movement to get to the other side of these woods, even though they are rangers, so they are not slowed down. Most people move half speed. These guys move full speed through rough going, including across the stream. That may be important later. Next up is going to be the heavy cavalry. Full disclosure, I messed something up, so I needed to do a little bit of a reset on this one. If things look a little different, that's why. These guys are going to go next, and they are going to move up, and they are going to take the ford. High risk, high reward. If they can go first next turn, they're going to do really well. More importantly, because at the end of the turn they're parked on this ford, they're going to get a victory point. That being the case, now we have an option here. The 5 of clubs means this line infantry can fire. They have a range of 9 inches, and this unit is within range. So we have to decide, do we want to take the shot at these guys? If they don't move, then they'll be hitting on 9s and 10s. And I'll be honest with you, my mistake was to bring these guys all the way up to here, close range, hitting on 3s. These guys get decimated. I don't want that to happen too quickly here. I want to see how this battle plays out if you're smart. So I did a little bit of a reset there. Instead, now we give these guys a big choice. They can race. They are further than 5 inches away. They're not going to be able to get the victory point for that heavy ground. But if they run over here, then this is, heavy cover. So shooting at them, attacking them, they're going to be at -2. And that means, and I honestly don't know which to do, so I'm going to let the dice decide. On a 1 through 6, they're going to blast these guys. On a 7 through 12, they're going to go for the victory condition. All right, so they are going to open fire. Every time you fire with muskets, you are going to be at out of ammo. So until they spend a full turn reloading, they are going to be firing at half dice. But they do get to fire 12 dice at these guys. At long range, they need an 8, but they have not moved, and they're Deadeye, which means they are going to be at +2. So we will roll 12 dice, and we will be hitting on 6s. So this still might not go well for the French. Looking for 6s, we got 1, 2, 3 misses here. This is a 3, and this is a 1. Now, we only got 2 1s, and you can see we got a lot more hits than that. So we got a total of 2, 4, 6, 7 hits, a little bit better than average. Then we need to roll to see what the wounds are. No bonuses, no penalties, just a straight up roll on this. We are going to get 1 shock, and then we get, this is 8, 8, 7, 6, and 8. So there are 2 wounds for these guys. I think 9 and up is 2 wounds. 6 through 8 is a single wound. We get 3 8s over here, so it's 5, 6, 7 wounds, and I want to check what happens with mounted. Concentrated fire at long range is normally an 8 to hit. I take it back. Firing muskets at long range is an 8 to hit. Concentrating fire, meaning they didn't move, gives them a +1, so it's a 7. These guys have Deadeye, so they are going to be hitting on 6s. I've got 12 dice for the 12 figures, and this one is a 2. We're only counting everything above 6s. 4, 5, we got 2 1s, but that's still fewer 1s than our hits, and I'm going to re-roll this because it was cocked, and that's a 3. So we get a total of, that's a 4, so we get a total of 4 hits. We have to roll for 4 wounds. And every result of a 20 does a kill. So does a 9. That's 4, 5 wounds, and 1 shock. So we are reduced, and just, oh boy, even at long range, this fire is deadly. And this guy receives a shock. If we have more shock than figures, which we do not, 1 and 1, means this flag bearer stays there. That's going to be important. We need to finish off these 2s. This cannon is going to go ahead and unlimber. They're set up. They got a 90-degree fire arc from here to here. That's what it looks like. Then these guys are going to move up on top of the hill. I pre-measured this. We're going to be able to get 7. We'll get 8 of them up there, and then the other guys are going to have to be stuck kind of down here at the base of the hill. Because we have a majority of them on the hill, we're going to call it... It is what it is. They've now captured that point. And now that and then this guy also, he's going to rotate, so he's got a 90-degree fire arc. If we take a look, it's going to look a little something like this. He's just missing the woods, but he can fire at all of the approaches to the stone wall. That's going to be it for the turn. Now we need to figure something out. I have a D12 that's going to be telling us that we are at the end of turn number 2. I have a hard time remembering that stuff. And then I have a black die for the French and a red for the British. And this will be how we keep score. We have 2 victory points to the French, and we have 0 victory points for the British, so I'm not even going to put it out. That's the end of the second turn. Remember, we're going to go to turn, I think it's turn 8, and then we're going to start dicing to see if we're done yet. Pre-shuffled, we'll cut our Horse and Musket Fistful of Lead specialty deck, and again, we're going to deal out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. The leader gets a 6, and this unit gets a 5. Then I'm going to deal 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 of clubs for the guys on the hill, 4 for the leader, Jack for the gun, 4 for the cavalry, and a 10 for those guys down there. Who is going to go first? Queen of Hearts is going to go first. They can move a total of 8 inches. Do we want to bring them over the stream to put pressure on the hill? Or do we want to have them sweep the ford? Let's go ahead and bring them up this way. They are going to be able to move 5 inches to the stream. It's going to cost them 2 inches to cross. In fact, only the front rank is going to be able to get over the stream. And, man, this might be a mistake because we might be running into the exact same situation. Let's see, 8 inches will bring us, we'll put them halfway. These guys are going to be on, I was going to say halfway in the stream, but it looks like our terrain isn't going to allow for that. So they do still count. Half of them are in the stream. They're going to count as being in rough going at the start of next turn. And when it comes time to firing, I think that's going to be important. That's it for the queen. Next up is going to be the jack. This guy is limbered. He does not have a shot just yet because he's in the way. All right, well, that's... So what we'll do is ready in action. We'll take a look at what that means when we want to use them. If they have an opening to fire, they can take it before the end of the turn. Basically, they're going to open fire at these guys if they get an opportunity to. Then we have a 10 of hearts over here. That will open up an opportunity for number 7. 1 reroll this turn. Let's make sure we remember to take advantage of that. The cannon is going to fire. That does put him low on ammo. He is firing at this unit right here. That unit is beyond 12 inches, but again, it's a cannon. It's going to have a long range. A light cannon has a range of 18 inches. At long range, hitting on 8, 3 crew, 90-degree fire. They're going to reroll. Okay, blah, blah, blah. That's it. So 3 dice to hit. They're going to be hitting on 8. Anything else we've got? This is the British cannon. They have loads of ammo, so they will ignore the first low on ammo result they get. As I said, hitting on 8, so they're only going to get 1 hit. Oh, that's an 8 and a 10 and a 5. So they are going to get 2 hits on this infantry unit. And with a 1 and a 7, they will eliminate 1 guy, and they will deliver 1 shock. Except, remember that they do get 1 reroll, so we're going to reroll the 2 hit. On a 5, they still miss. They still just do the 2 hits. More shock than, more dudes than shock. They're not going to be forced to do anything. Then we've got a free reload for our commander, who is going to move over to here. So he is safe from the cannon. And I think he's within 6 inches of everybody. Yep. Then we have, wait a minute. My leader went, the 4 of hearts should be here. But it's not their turn. These guys get to go next. Wait, no, the 5 of spades means these guys get to go next. And I think we're going to go ahead and spend the entire turn reloading so that we can take another volley at these guys. That might be a mistake. We might be better off. Yeah, let's not do that. We got to score some victory points here. It kind of feels like, wait, do we? I don't think we do just yet. We might want to win the battle of attrition first and then spend the rest of the game earning those points. So let's just reload with those guys, and then it's going to be the 5 of clubs down here. They have not fired yet. We're going to take advantage of, and seeing how deadly fire is, how far away are these cavalry? Would be great if we could pre-measure. They are just, they're just within 4.5 inches. That's going to be a problem for these light cavalry. Now, the light cavalry actually do have... Hey, you want to face the right way there, buddy? All right, so before we shoot, these guys have the option of making a task roll. On a 5-up, they can evade. Light cavalry, when charged, on a 5-up, they can shoot at half strength and then make a move action. So on a 3, they don't get it. I was kind of hoping they could fire at these guys and then back off. But I guess that's not going to happen. So we're going to roll 12 dice for these guys. And they are going to be hitting at close range, means a 5. Since they're not moving, it's going to be on a 4. And then, I think, is that it? Yeah, so hitting on 4s. They are steady. They ignore shock. Looking for 4s. We get a total of, there's a 3, and a 3, and a 1. And the rest of these, not you. What are you doing? You're not even supposed to be in there. Looking for 4s. Yeah, the rest of these are hits, so we have to roll for wounds now. And we're going to have a shock and a shock. And what is this? That's a 9. Oh, that's not good. We got another shock, and a 5 is a shock. And then we've got a 9, a 10, 6, 8, and 6. So that's going to be 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 4. So 7 wounds and 4 shock. But when you take a shock, and I messed this up on the last battle, he's going to have to fall back 4 inches to here with a shock marker. When you have more shock than, not wound, when you have more shock than figures. Oh, no, he doesn't, does he? We do not have more shock than figures. Oh, no, we have 4 shock. That's what it is. We do have 4 shock. He moves back to 4 inches, and then you remove all of your excess shock. So he goes down to just the 1, and it would have been smart to bring our leader over here so that he could rally this guy in the next turn. But, you know, what can I tell you? Next up is going to be the spades. We're going to bring this leader over to here. Well, is he within 6 inches? He could spend his entire turn removing this guy's shock. And he is too far away. It takes both actions. Well, I think we can move him 4 inches to here, which puts him within 6, and I think he can roll now. Let me take a look. Reading is fundamental. If he is within 6 inches, he can remove 1 shock marker as an action. So we use 1 action to move, let's put him like right there, and then he uses his second action to remove this shock. Well, does he want to remove this one or this one? This cannon, remember, is 9 inches away. So if we remove this shock marker... Well, let's remove this one, all right? Because this guy still has an action this turn. And, in fact, so it goes... The spade went, and then it goes hearts and then diamonds. So on the hearts, what do we do with these guys? And I think this is the bigger threat. So we're going to bring these guys up in the woods, to the edge of the woods here. And they are going to be... We'll just bring the hover hands down. So now they have a field of fire that's a little more conducive. Remember that they are skirmishers. So when they move, they do not receive the -1 for shooting. They can go ahead and take a shot at this unit without that extra -1. Which means now they will be firing at a unit that is 8 inches away. They are packing... light infantry, they're packing rifled muskets. So they can move and shoot with no penalty, and those muskets have a range of 12 inches. Wow, that's pretty good. If we get them to within 6. There are only 10 of those guys, though. So I'm going to take out the 2 D20s that are the hardest to read, I hope. That one and that one, and we're going to roll 10. Now, they will become low on ammo, firing 10 shots at this unit here. And they need 8s to hit. We get a 10, an 8, a 9, and an 8. If they were not skirmishers, they would only be hitting on 9s because they moved. So a total of 4 hits on this unit right here. We're going to roll 4 wound dice, and we are going to get 1, 2, 3 shock, and we're going to eliminate 2 casualties. dropping 2 shock on these guys. So these guys are going to be rolling 2 fewer dice every time they fire. They're going to move a full inch slower. And then we have to figure out what we're going to do with this Lone Ranger right here. We need to roll 1d20 for every shock marker that he's got, that the unit has. In this case, it's just the one. On a 5-up, the shock marker comes off. And that is it. If all shock markers are removed, the unit may either make 1 move or 1 shoot. If it's not, his unit is over. That means he can move a total of 4 inches. Where would you like to go, man? Do we want to bring him? He's got nowhere to hide, does he? We're going to bring him over here 4 inches. That's about the best we can do. And we're going to do that for a couple of reasons. First of all, these guys are now protected. You have to shoot at the nearest guy. So even if he buys these guys a turn, there is at least a chance that these French fellas... Oh, no, you know what? Oh, I take it back. He needs to stand on it. Well, if he... What do we do? If he stands on it, we get a victory point. As things... And if he doesn't, these guys can run over and take command of it. Of course, they're going to get blasted here, right? So, yeah, let's move them off. We're going to score our 3rd victory point here at the end of turn number 3. So the French are now sitting on 3 victory points to a grand total of none for the British. But I think the British are in good shape to correct that. One last thing I forgot. We have a ready action we got to use. This cannon is going to open fire on which unit? We can fire here. We're going to fire 3 dice. Do we fire here or here? If we fire here, we're at close range. We're hitting on 5s. Oh, they're in the woods. We're hitting on 6s. If we fire here, we're at long range. We're hitting on 9s. We got to fire hitting on the 6s. Nothing special about it. Just looking for 6s or better. We got 1 and 1 hit of a 7, which is good. If this was also a miss, we'd have more 1s than 7s. More 1s than hits. They would be... oh, they were always low on ammo, aren't they? At any rate, that is going to be 1 casualty on this unit here. A 6 is going to be a casualty. That eliminates 1 skirmisher from the woods. And we are going to have to reload here. I am out of reload markers. Black powder, you need a lot more of those. So what I'm going to do instead is use a blue chip to show he needs to reload. Now we're ready to move on to turn number 3. Heading into turn number 3, the score is 3 to the French to 0 for the British. Cut the cards, and we'll deal them out. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. Leader on a 6 and 5 over there. And then on this side, it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We get a 6 of diamonds. Cannon gets a 3 of diamonds. Leader gets a jack, 5. And an ace for this guy, which is very nice because it means he's going to get to say, I want to go king of spades. I want to go first. The cannon says, wait a minute, I want to go king of spades as well. The difference is that this guy has the diamonds. Diamonds go before clubs, so he's going to get to move 8 inches. And that 8 inches is going to take him, well, he's going to give up an inch to get inside here, but he is going to ride way over here to this corner. Well, that's 8 inches there, so he's got to stop right there. And that puts him out of the fire arc of the cannon. More importantly, it puts him in the built-up area, so he is fairly protected. That one guy might score another victory point. Then our cannon, now if our cannon wants to fire, he's only going to be able to, do we want to reload? Yeah, you know, the cannon might have shot at half strength. Well, wait a minute. Well, no, he already declared. So that's that. Now we are going to get to the Jack of Clubs. And this time, do we want to bring him to support these guys? Or do we bring him up to support these guys? These guys have 2 shocks. So if we bring him over to here, so he's within 6 inches... that means he can move 4 inches to do that. So we'll race him over here, 4 inches. He is within 6.
fact, 4, 6. Yeah, we gotta leave the lane of fire open. Now he can use his second action to remove 1 shock marker from this unit. On the Jack of Spades, +1 to shooting. Oh my goodness! So we've used that card. So do we want to take advantage of the +1 to shooting? They are going to be firing at half strength. That means they're going to roll 5 dice, but they're going to be at a total of +2. They're going to be 5 dice hitting on 6s on these guys before. These guys are the 6 of clubs. Are they get a free reload? Oh my goodness. Remember, they fired at those at this guy. So they do need to reload, but they got the free reload. Let's take the shot. At half strength, it's going to be 5 dice at this unit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Because we got to take advantage of that +1 to shooting, right? They're going to be at a total of +2 to the shooting because they're using concentrated fire. That means they go from hitting on, we got a single miss. Because of the +2, they go from hitting on 8s to hitting on 6s. These 4 become hits, and we roll for wound check. We get, that's a little cocked. Let's re-roll that. We get a total of 2 shock. So we'll drop a couple of shock on here. And then we get an 8 and a 6. Each does 1 casualty. We're going to remove these 2 guys. That's it for the Jack. Then we have the 9 of hearts over here. And he is going to spend his turn. He can move 6 inches. I think we're going to hold off on this guy. We're going to bring him to safety behind the woods. And then, is it a full turn or is it a single action to rally? He's out of the line of fire. If we check our rulebook, rallying as an action. Not 2 actions, 1. So then we're going to use our second action to roll to see if he can recover. And he gets a 4. He does not. That's going to end his turn. Oh, actually, no, wait a second. Check this out. He is within 6 inches of the leader. That means he's got a +1 to recover. That becomes a 5. He is no longer shocked. Shocked and appalled, I tell you. That's the number 9. Then we've got 6, 6. Oh, I don't like that. But the good news is these guys... Oh, they already reloaded. Who goes first? It goes diamonds, it goes hearts, diamonds, clubs. Hearts go first. Oh boy, what do we want to do with these guys? I think we want to go ahead and open... Do we open fire at this guy to prevent him from scoring that point? I think so. They need to reload. But they're going to take 12 shots at this guy over here. They have a range of 9 inches on their muskets. 12 shots is a lot of shots. They only got to kill 1 guy. That's a D12. What is it doing in here? They are going to get a total of... Now, because he is in hard cover... Oh, I didn't think about that, did I? They are only going to hit on 10s. Well, we got 2 1s. How many 10s do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4. Holy cats. That is some really nice shooting, guys. So 4 hits altogether. We're going to roll 4 wound dice. 1, 2, 3, 4. And if they get a single result of a 9, he is going to die. But that was still worthwhile, I think, because it pins these guys back here. They have fired off their guns. They're going to have to take another turn to reload. These guys get the free reload. The French line infantry ignore shock when shooting. 2, 4, 6, 8 guys remain. They're going to go ahead and shoot at these guys. Now, they are firing concentrated fire at a unit in light cover that is at long range away. So those 9 guys are going to get to fire hitting on 8s altogether. So looking for 8s. And we get a total of 1, 2, 3 hits on the skirmishers. Rolling to wound, they get a shock, and a 7 is 1 death. So we'll eliminate 1 figure. And we will add 2 shock to these skirmishers. And I think the skirmishers are probably going to want to start moving out of those woods and seeing if they can capture this hill. Maybe bring the cavalry around to see if he can do some good as well. That's for next turn. Our leader now has to go. He is beyond 6 inches, so we're going to move him up to behind the woods. And he is going to use his action to remove one of these shock markers. That is the free reload. Doesn't do him much good. And then these guys are going to move. They're going to make a double move. They're going to move 1 inch to the stream. It's going to cost them 2 inches to get across the stream. And then they're going to move 2 more inches. That's going to put them right here. They are going to be classed as heavy cover. And because the 6 of them are kind of behind the wall here. So it's looking good. Now, they don't have enough movement to get in there. These guys are on a 3. We're going to go ahead and reload, and that's going to be it. So that is the end of turn number 3. We score 1 point here. The French are now up to 4 points. And we move on to turn number 4. Here we are on turn number 4, cutting the deck. Hey, get back up on the hill, bro. And we're going to deal out 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. For the British, it's going to be 1, 2, 3, and then 4 cards because they no longer have the services of that heavy cavalry. Do we have any kings? Yeah, we do. We got a leader here who wants to drop back to safety. He is not close enough that these guys can shoot at him, and he's going to remove 1 shock marker from this unit. He is done. Do we have any queens? Oh, yeah, we do. As a matter of fact, we've got a Queen of Hearts over here. Well, we're going to use this ace, is a wild card, as a Queen of Hearts. This is on the British Light Cavalry. We're going to roll a die. And on, what is it? On an evens, on odds, you get 1 back. On evens, you get 2 strength points back. On evens, you get 2. Although we thought they were badly mauled, we now have 3 cavalry that have recovered. Do we have any other queens? We do not. We're going to use this as a free reload action. Might be a mistake. We could use it as a Queen of Spades, which would allow us to get rid of this last shock marker. We're not going to do that. Instead, we're going to activate the, let's see, Jack of Spades goes first. So that Jack, they are going to fire at this unit. Full strength, 3 dice. Blam, blam, blam. It's at long range. They're going to be hitting on 8s. And they get 1 hit. Let's see what damage they do. On a 3, they deliver a shock to this unit. And they need to reload. Then we have a Jack of Clubs here. +1 to close combat. He is going to remove... Did we already use him to remove this shock marker? No, we did not. He can remove 1 shock marker. We're going to remove the shock marker from right here. Then we go on to number 9, and we are going to bring this infantry. Now, they can only move 1.5 inches if they clamber over this wall, which is exactly what they're going to do. It's going to put this... Well, what do we do? I think to get them all into cover, and once again, we're going to go ahead and take advantage. We're going to move them the full 5 inches to over here. We're kind of backed off so that we don't have to worry about getting shot to ribbons by a cannon that we can't even reach. If we look here at the arc of fire, it looks something like that. So they've piled into this far end. They are safe, but that takes both of their moves. Then we have a 7 over here for this cannon, who is without a shot. They're going to have to spend the entire turn limbering back up. Well, we could move them. So that's a full turn. We're going to have to move them 3 inches over here, and then we're going to be able to start shooting at these guys from a distance. And if we're smart, we'll be far enough away that they can't even shoot back. Then we have a 6, which allows for the free reload. These 9 guys are going to come charging out of the woods. They can move a total of 2.5 inches and then open fire. And that's going to be, oh, you know what? That's 2.5 inches right there. And we're going to go ahead. Now, are they within 5? Not quite. If we double move with these guys, we can charge next round. But I think we're going to get them out of this cannon's fire arc. And we'll put them a little something like that. So they basically 2.5 inches. That's probably a little too far. We're gonna leave them right there. But the 2, 4, 6, 8 of them can fire at this unit here, and they aren't going to suffer any penalties because they are skirmishers. So we're going to take 8 shots. They are at, and the skirmishers have a range. They have rifled muskets. They have a range of 6 inches. They are going to be at short range, which means they will be hitting on 5s or better. They get a single 1. Okay, that's nothing. And then on the 5s, we'll get rid of all these misses. They get a total of 4 hits. And those 4 hits are going to translate to 1, 2, 3, 4 casualties. And then they are going to deliver 1 more shock. 3 shock, 4 guys. They do not have to fall back and regroup, but it is their turn. They are going to, now the problem they have is they're only going to be able to fire once because they've got 3 shock markers on them. Okay, we'll roll 3 times to see if we rally. In fact, the other thing we're going to do is we're going to pull back to here to get out of range of the charge, and then we'll use our second action to rally. They get a 5. All right, now this is interesting. They get 1 success and 2 failures. Drifting back might have been a mistake, because when you are attempting to rally, if you get more 1s than successes, it's bad news for you. The unit must fall back 1 move and gains another shock marker. This may force a regroup. It does not, but instead of getting rid of shock, they're going to have to fall back another 2.5 inches, and that's going to put them off the objective. And they gain a 4th shock marker. Hey, you take your chances. You roll the dice. And then we have 1 more unit up here. This 3 of spades is going to go ahead and... What do we want to do with these guys? Should we move them up to here, or should we reload? Let's reload. Yeah, we're going to reload. Alternatively, this cannon has a range of 18 inches. So there's no way to get out of range of those guys. This, I think, is going to be the French's savior, because it keeps anyone from approaching right here. Or does it? Is the smart play to stay loaded and just go ahead and race up here? We got to try something. We got to try to break this. We're going to move them up to here. They are still reloaded. They've got the 1 shock. Which means they're going to be a half an inch back. Remember that you lose... No, they'll be a full inch back. Remember, you lose a half an inch of movement for every shock marker. So we've piled them up. They're still in loose order. If we put them in close order, they're going to take extra wounds from the cannon. But the cannon does have to reload, so we got that going for us. And we got back a couple of cavalry, so we might be doing a little better than we thought. The British might be able to put some pressure on these 2 points and rack up some victory points. Unfortunately, they're losing 1 for the field up there. The French are now up to a total of 5, and we are on turn number 5. Remember, we've only got about 8 turns. We'll cut the cards, nice easy one, and we'll deal out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A deuce, an ace, a king, 10, and a queen of hearts for these guys. Then we're going to deal out 1, 2, 3, and 4. Ace for these guys, 10, jack, and a jack. All right.
who's going to go first? Any kings? Yeah, we got one king over here. Our leader is going to... He is within 6 inches. Get rid of that shock. Then we've got... Do we want to use these guys as a king? No, we do not. We want to use them as a queen of hearts. We've got a pair of queen of hearts. The legit queen of hearts goes first. Now, these guys have not suffered... Have they? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. They have not suffered any casualties yet. So all we're going to do is move up 5 inches onto the ford. And that's going to be their turn. Look at that. We finally have the British putting some pressure on these victory points. They got 12 guys controlling the ford. We'll move them up a little like that. Now, they are out of ammo, but at least they've gone. Then these guys have a Queen of Hearts. They do have casualties. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to roll, and on an even, they get 2 guys back. They get 2 more horses back. Then they get to make their action, and I'm kind of thinking we can take the hill. They've got a movement of, if we bring them to here, it's going to cost 2 inches to get over the stream. We can bring these 5 cavalrymen to right here. The cannon doesn't have a shot. These guys are in trouble. These guys are going to use this as a queen of spades. They actually... Okay, we got to back up a step. The queen of spades eliminates all shock. And then they get to take an action. So their action is going to be boop, to move up here. They can move basically 1.25 inches. They're just going to be able to get up on top of the hill. And then they're going to be able to take a shot at these guys. That's going to be their turn. And then these 5 will swing around down to here. So that's the difference, is we're going to take 4 shots over here. And just remember that those shots happen before the movement, so it's legit. So here's our 4 shots. I should probably check the range. For muskets, they're at 6 inches. They are going to be at... hitting on 8s. They got a 4, 3, 8, and a 2, so they only got 1 hit. Let's see if it's enough. And all that hit does is it delivers a shock to these guys, who are going on the deuce. Then we've got +1 to shooting for this cannon right here. That's the Jack of Spades. Now, they only get to fire 2 dice because they're low on ammo, but I think it's worth doing anyway. They get a 6 and a 12. Now, the interesting thing here is, because this cannon is within 6 inches, they can re-roll their misses. So it becomes a 6 and a 2. All right, well, I didn't do them any good, but at least they got the 1 hit. And with a 4, they deliver a shock to this unit. Even though they're low on ammo, that's still not a bad play. These guys are holding tight, +1 to close combat, but they're not really moving. They like that victory point. And then we have a 10 of diamonds goes next. These guys are going to unlimber again, and they're going to be facing this way now. I thought I was going to move them over here, but since it looks like things are under control, we're going to aim it a little bit closer. So if we sweep these guys, that they're in the same arc, then we're not going to be able to fire at the... Are we going to be able to? We're not going to be able to shoot at the ford. So they kind of have to choose that half or the ford. They're choosing that half. They can fire all the way over there. That's going to be fine. And then our French leader is going to go on the 10. And what does he want to do? We're going to bring him... Oh boy, what do we do here? Do we attach to these guys? Do we consider that lost? I'm going to bring him 8 inches around to here. I think we're going to bring him around and attach to there to see if we can do some good on that side of the board. These guys now get to go, and they're going to use a... They're too far away to charge. They are losing a half an inch, so instead of on each of their actions. So they're going to have to move to here. They cannot quite make it to the top of the hill. And they are also further than 1.5 inches away from this unit.
as is these guys. And that's the rule is if it's contested because there's an enemy within a half an inch, you don't get the points for it. So that shock really hampers them this time around. That's the end of turn number 5. We'll advance our counter to number 6. But for the first time, the British are on the board. We'll find the 6 in there somewhere. The French are going to score another 2 victory points, taking them to 7. And the British are on the board with a whopping 1 victory point. Cutting the deck, which I've shuffled, we're going to go, let's do the French first this time. 5. The cannon gets a Queen of Hearts. The leader gets a Queen of Spades, and this unit gets a 7, 1 reroll per turn. I love it. Then we're going to deal for this guy, the leader, the cannon, these old boys, and is that it? Nope, we got one more unit, these skirmishers down here. And those aces are sure going to come in handy because we may use that as a free reload. But before we get to that, likewise, do we have anybody that's going to go on kings? Does anybody desperately want to go first, at least of the aces? I don't think so. I think we're going to give these guys a reload by firing on a 7 of spades. Do we want these guys to move first? Can they charge this cannon? Is that a smart play? They're 6 inches away. No, it's not. I tell you what we're going to do. We're going to save this for... I got to think about that. We're going to use that as a free reload, which means it's going to go on a 6. Which means these guys are going to go first. And they are going to start by charging into melee with these guys up here. But let me get that out of there. So our first official melee. And it's going to be a total of 2, 4, 6, 8 skirmishers. These guys are going to roll 7 dice, not 8. There's 8 guys, but they have the 1 shock. Hitting on 5s. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hits altogether. So we'll pull out a couple of dice, and we'll make our wound checks. We get an 8. We get 2 shocks. We get 2 wounds and a 3rd wound. So there's only 3 guys left. And those 3 guys have a total of 2 shocks, which means they are going to have to make 2 moves away from the enemy, which is going to put them moving in this direction. And it's just the one guy. He's going to run off the table. He's 5 inches away. So that's going to be the end of that. Then we're going to use the Queen of Hearts to reload this cannon. Then we're going to use the 7 to open fire with these guys. They are, well, before we do that, though, they're going to have to, how far away are they? Now, they've got muskets, so they have a range of 9 inches. That means they're going to hold their action. They're going to wait and see if somebody comes a little bit closer. They're out of range. These guys, he's going to go, and he's going to try to stay safe by moving 5 inches to here, and then he can move another 1.5 inches through the woods. Remember, we're trying to get him around here where he can't get blasted, so he's, can't really see that, can you? Let me bring the camera over. So this leader is now in the woods right there, and he's deep enough in the woods that he can't be shot. Then we have a 3 of hearts over here. Well, wait a second. These guys are going to take the free reload. And then they are going to open fire. And who goes first? Actually, I think these guys go first. They're completely unloaded. They're using the 7s, which gives them a +1 to shooting. They are going to be firing at long range, hitting on 8s. 9s, 10s because of the cover, but then +1 for the shooting means it's going to be hitting on 9s. 7, 4, and 4, they're going to have to reload. shooting into the ruins isn't going to go well for them. Then we've got these guys with a free reload. They have 11 guys. Well, they have 12 guys, but they have a shock. So they only roll 11 dice shooting at the cannon. And they are going to be firing at long range. They're beyond 4.5 inches, so they're only hitting on 8s. But they didn't move, and they are eagle-eyed, so they're actually at +2. They are going to be hitting on 6s. That turns these 2, these 3 become hits. These 4 would have been misses, but they become hits for a total of 5 hits. And I think that's going to be the end of the cannon, because we're going to get a total of 1, 2, 3, 4 casualties, and these 4 guys go bye-bye. And I'm just going to remove the cannon as well. Then, where are we at? We've got a 3 of spades goes first. We'll bring him around to here. And then these guys are going to be able to move 8 inches. I guess we'll bring them back here, which means they're crossing the stream. They're only going to be able to move 6 to here. And like that. And I think that might be the end of the scenario. And I'll tell you what. No, we're going to go ahead and throw these guys out there. There's a chance they can drive them out. That's really going to be the difference. We really have to play it out. But I kind of think that from here on out, the Brits are going to be scoring 2 points per turn, and the French are only going to be scoring 1. So let's do that. We move on to turn number 7. And this time the British score 2 points, so they're up to 3 victory points, and the French are up to 8. To save time, I just went ahead and dealt out the cards. Our kings are going to go first. This is our cavalry. They're going to ride around to here, making their double move. They can move 8 inches per turn. Then we have the 9 of spades. They will... What are they going to do? First of all, they fired. They're just going to reload. Remember that they wiped out the cannon by just a volley fire. So we'll reload for this turn. They are still out of range of these guys unless they want to move up, in which case they're going to get blasted by this guy at close range. And then, of course, they can be shot back. So these guys are just kind of camped out there. This cannon will reload. 8, 9, and then the 6. Our commander over here is going to move 8 inches. He's crossing the stream, so he can only move 6. So he'll come around to here. And he's going to be able to connect with those guys on the next turn. And then we have our commander is going to ride. He can move a total of 3 inches because of the stream, which will put him close enough to spend an action to unshock our skirmishers, who are going to get the last action of the day. And our skirmishers are simply going to shift over here to take command of the hill. And then these guys get to go. And again, they don't have anybody in range, I don't think. A range of 9 inches? Yeah, they don't. They're going to get a couple of volleys, maybe at least one, but that's going to be the end of the turn. So we move on to turn number 8. And the British are going to score for 5. I don't think they're going to be able to... It's all going to come down to how long this scenario lasts, right? They're catching up by 1 every turn. But looking at the scenario rules, I think this game is almost over. The game lasts beginning on... At the end of turn 8, roll a d10. Add the result. All right, we'll get to that at the end of turn 8. We have to play turn 8 first. As you can see, I already dealt out the cards. Our skirmishers, who are out of the way, they got a 3 of clubs. And then our cannon over here is going to get to fire first. Doesn't have a shot at this guy, but they have reloaded. Well, we're going to use that as a +1 to shoot action. These guys are going to be on hold with the Queen of Hearts. They have taken no casualties, so the actual Queen of Hearts doesn't do them much good. The general over here is going to ride up to about here. Wait a minute. 9 to 4. Was it 9 to 4? Or was it 9 to 5? I think it was 5 victory points. It was 1, 2, We're going to go to the tape. I'll have to double check that. He's moving up to here, and he's removing this shock from these guys. That is his action. Then we have a 9 here. These guys are now going to go ahead and say, you know what? Let's turn to face these guys, and we're going to form ranks. They are regular troops. They're going to form up, and we're going to see if we can form them up in 2 ranks to get that extra bonus for fire. 6 up, 2 deep, just like the British always did. A little something like that. And then so that's all, they're moving. I think it takes full turn. So that's their whole turn. And then it will be these guys firing on the 7 with a +1. We'll roll 1, 2, 3 dice. They're going to be hitting at long range. That's a 1. They're going to be hitting on 8s, 9, 10s, +1. The 9 is a hit. So they will get 2 casualties. Nice shot. Finally, it's about darn time you did some good. And then we have a 5 of diamonds. So now it's just 10 guys firing. We're going to charge the 8 inches to here. We might as well. The time is running out. The sun is going down. These guys have... You know, we're going to stop, but you know what? I take it back. Since those guys are going to be firing at us, let's ride nice and easy. Oh, let's ride nice and easy. We're going to stop right now. I have carbines at 4.5 inches. 8 would take them to right here. Yeah, we're going to do that because they're light cavalry. That's their move. These guys are going to open fire. Now, remember, these guys have an evade. On a 5 up, they got a 10. They are going to be able to fire with half strength. That's going to be 3 shots, and then they can retire 1 move. Those 3 shots are going to be hitting on regulars at close range. See our little carbines there? They're kind of doing a ride-by. They're going to be hitting on 5s, 6, 7 for the wall. So they're only going to be hitting on 7s, but they still get 2 hits. How about that? So those 2 hits, rolling for casualties, they get a 9 and a 10. They're going to do 4 more casualties. And then they can make a move action, and they can fall back an additional 4 inches. Isn't that clever? Now these guys were opening fire. They're just within range, but you've only got 5 guys instead of the full 11. So those 5 guys are going to take a shot at long range, meaning they only hit on 8s, and they get 2 hits on the cavalry. And those 2 hits will translate to 1 kill and 1 shock. And that is going to be, and then this commander will move up, and he is going to join forces with these guys, so they got 5 of them. Roll 2 dice, choose the best. That's going to be it for the turn. We move on. Now, we have to roll a d10. And if the result is a 15 or greater, so here's our d10. Add it to the turn number. And on a 4 plus 8, we get a 12. We play turn number 9. And we have to tally up our scores. Instant replay. This is supposed to be a 5. I just jostled it. This goes to 7. 1 for the ford, 1 for the bridge. This goes to 10. And now things get interesting for the British. Let me just riffle these cards, shuffle them up, do a couple of quick cuts, and then we will deal them out and see what kind of fun we have. These guys first. +1 to shooting. And the guys, I'm not even going to worry about those skirmishers. They are camped out. Who gets to go first? Our king gets to go first. We are going to march these guys forward. They're marching through the stream. They're only going to move 1.5 inches to here. But that 1.5 inches is going to allow them, and because they are in close order, they have to... Oh, you know what? I don't think you can move in close order. Oh, shoot. I didn't think about that. All right, we're busting up the close order, and we're going to move them 2.5 inches up to here, outside of the stream, like so. And we're doing this because we got a general. See, now they are within shooting distance. They can move up,
And we've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 guys that are firing at long range, at guys that are in cover. We're only going to be hitting on 10s. I don't care. Did we get any? We got a single hit, and we got a single one, so we're not out of ammo yet, but we did get a hit on that crew, and with a 9, we did 2 casualties on them. Not only that, but we need to check and see if those casualties were the commander. When you hit a group with a commander, there's a thing that might happen. And that thing is in the rulebook. When attached, the commander will move when the unit moves. For use force back for the heroes. Where is it? If the commander, if unit takes wounds, you must check. If unit takes at least 1 casualty, roll a d10. Subtract 1 for each wound. So we're going to roll a d10, and we are going to subtract 2. We get a 7, becomes a 5. If it's 0 or less, it's the commander hit. It's not, so we lose 2 more guys. That was a jack. These guys are going to now open fire. They get 3 dice. We're going to fire at these guys. We are at +1 to shooting. And I think they fired last round, right? So they're only going to be rolling 2 dice because they are at half strength. They are going to be firing at long range because they are 9 inches away. They are only going to hit on 8s. The 9 will be a hit. Oh, they're going to be hitting on 7s, actually, but this is a 3, so it doesn't matter. The 9 is a hit for 2 casualties. Oh, a pretty good volley right there, but not good enough because these guys are, well, the queen gets to go. Oh, I think the queen goes first, but since she's just reloading, it don't matter. None of this matters. And then these guys are going to be able to charge. Are they within 6 inches? They are not. The 6 inches is, oh, they can only move normally 8, but because of this, a double move will move them 7 inches, and they are going to only be able to move 6 inches. Oh, they're not going to have enough movement to get inside. So we're going to move these guys. The 7 inches will take them up to here. Then our general is going to stand on the ford. That's why we move these guys off, because we score 11 for the French and then 9 for the British. Then we have to make our end of the game check. We're going to roll a d10, add the number, and if we get a 7, plus 9 is 16. The scenario is ended. A score of 9 points to the British to 11 for the French. Look at that. The British taking their sweet time early on. If they had rushed up here and held on to that for like 2 turns, that would have been the difference and they would have won. A little too stodgy this time around. Not quite enough elan. The elan belonged to the French. Victory belongs to them. I'm praying for you.